right. By the way, we are at 34,857. So we are inching closer to 35,000 for Bitcoin. How about that? Joe Schad, how much Bitcoin do you own?
Not in the Bitcoin game just yet.
Not just yet. You're waiting for it to be at 100,000. I got it. Okay. All right. Sounds good. So when you did the tape, don't lie, because I rewatched the game yesterday, and I know you're going to give away some of your work. I didn't think it was that bad, actually.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's funny because in the intro to this segment, you guys talk about how I have high standards and I never think anything is good enough.
Oh, you do? You do. You're a high standard guy.
But I'm one of the few folks on the Dolphins beat who seem to be more encouraged than discouraged by what happened on Sunday night.
Amen.
And in rewatching the game, a couple of things jumped out that maybe they're obvious to some folks and maybe they're not so obvious to others. But let's think about this. It was 31-17. And yes, the Eagles could have scored again at the end there, but Tyreek Hill dropped a touchdown pass. Mm-hmm. Another touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill was negated by a penalty to Lester Cotton.
Mm-hmm. Tua threw an interception.
That could have tied the score at 24 in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. And there's no way in hell that any football team makes it through a game with 0 penalties. That was a joke. It was totally lopsided, totally unfair.
Not why you lost. Not the reason why you lost. If we're being objective, it wasn't fair, but I'm not pointing to that's why you lost. The mistakes you just touched on were way more important. But in general, yes, it shouldn't have been that long.
And now this is another interesting element. Yeah, because in hockey, you would never have 10 power plays for one team and 0 for the other. It would the officials wouldn't allow it to happen. And clearly they missed some calls. I mean,
the Cedric Wilson one.
Yeah, and David Long getting choked down by his throat.
I saw Jalen Phillips on one where he was held.
Well, I think they got a sack on that play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think so. Yeah.
They actually got – so Jalen Phillips, he's a monster, man. And the Dolphins, you made a good point a few minutes ago. They're first in the NFL in quarterback hits, third in quarterback sacks, 7th in pressures, and they're 18th in blitz. So there are some encouraging signs, especially as these players get more used to Vic Fangio's system and they get players back. Now, injuries are an interesting thing. Connor Hughes, who's a dude who covers the Jets either for The Athletic or SNY, I'm not sure which one, he went after me for noting that it was not reasonable to suggest that the Dolphins would win that game considering their injuries. He said that the Jets won despite numerous key injuries. Injuries are an interesting thing. You can, in fact, win football games without key players, but it's obviously much harder. It's much harder. It's just logic. It's just common sense. And they weren't just missing, average players. They were missing 3 guys with 14 Pro Bowls, Teron Armstead. Now, I know the pushback is going to be when you signed Teron Armstead, you knew you were going to have to play with Adam a lot. Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard. The 3 of those guys, 14 total Pro Bowls. So a factor here. I'm a little bit over Eli Apple on the outside and Kader Kohu on the outside. I'm disappointed in the fact they didn't give Cam Smith an opportunity. But obviously, Kader who goes to the slot, Xavier and Jalen Ramsey play on the outside as early as this week. Changes everything.
Yeah, it's just Cam's not ready yet. That's all.
I know. It's just so disappointing.
It's a rookie. This shit happens all the time. People shouldn't freak out on this. Sometimes, and this is a cover secondary. It's not one where they're just going to leave you on an island. There are responsibilities.
But that's a positive. You have help. You have help. But he would have help.
But he has to know when to switch at times. And clearly, he does not know when to switch and how to handle his zone at times.
I still think they could have gotten him a little playing time to see how he does at some point this season.
I'm actually more disappointed that they couldn't figure out a small role for Chase Claypool. 2 weeks in,
4 snaps.
You come up with like 3 routes for him to run.
Well, Cedric Wilson took Jalen Waddle's spot, and he has performed well.
Yeah, he played well.
He's a good blocker, and he's made some outstanding sideline catches.
Yeah.
And he might have made a catch on 4th down. Tua showing you some trust in Cedric Wilson, going to him on 4th down if he's not pulled down by the face mask.
The back shoulder you're talking about? The
4th down on the sideline where he's pulled down by the face mask.
Yeah,
and they say, oh, well, it was the Eagles fans say, oh, it's not the definition of a face mask penalty because he let go right away. Come on. It impacted the play.
Yeah. And by the way, the back shoulder Cedric was also awesome because you don't play with them that much. And so to have that timing there in the middle of the game, that I thought that was super impressive, for Tua overall. So you feel the same way because I was trying to tell Dolphins
they didn't get their butts kicked. Butts kicked.
No, it's not,
a little bit on the O-line, but it's tough, man. You're going with your backup at left tackle, left guard, and center.
Right. And towards the end, they were kind of worn out on defense too, so they got the extra yards.
Yeah, I mean, Christian Wilkins played like 96% of snaps. And by the way, I like Christian Wilkins' play, but let's not be offsides 3 times this season.
Yeah, he didn't play well. He didn't play well in that game. Chubb played well in that game. David Long, dude, before he went out, Jesus Christ, he was playing his ass off.
And Jerome Baker improved in recent weeks.
Yeah.
More physical, better against the run.
One of the things that everybody talks about, they need a thumper in the middle, right? Everybody talks about that.
Not necessarily.
Well, that's not what they want.
Mm-hmm. They want guys who can run.
I was kind of called out from the building on that because I've been talking about it and they told me,
okay.
You're wrong.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Well, that's good. That's good that you get the correct information out there.
He goes, he approved David Long.
Right.
So he wants guys that can move around. He wants athletic guys. He doesn't want big prodding thumpers. That's not what he's looking for.
Yeah, Navarro Bowman was not the biggest guy.
I'm just saying that Jerome Baker ideally fits. But what I'm saying is,
guys who can run.
He wants guys that can run, and David Long can run, and David seems to be more of a thumper than
he's aggressive.
He
fires. Yeah. Long fires now.
He's fearless. He throws his body out there like Zach Thomas does in a way that he just doesn't care. And I think that's what he's looking for because he wants really what's been going on is that the front has not done their job. That's really what's been going on because the front is supposed to do their job to free up those guys so they can fly around and get to. That's what Vic wants. Vic wants agile linebackers. He wants guys that can run is what he wants. So you're never going to see a thumper in the middle. You're not going to see a 255-pound linebacker and, big giant shoulders and all that. That's not going to happen there, unfortunately.
Now, Vic Fangio said last week that when he has Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey, it will change the way he calls the game. That's very interesting. I'm curious to see, how? Does that mean he blitzes more? Logic would say yes.
Yes.
Logic would say yes.
And the zone becomes you can then play man zone. Because then you can just keep the guys on the outside and say, okay, now we'll play a zone inside. So you can actually mix up the coverages. You could go all zone, you could go man on man, you could play like that, or you can have a double where your outside guys stay on man and then inside everything stays in a zone. And if that happens, then that's when I think your safety starts making all kinds of freaking plays, dude.
Yeah, Holland's a good player, and it's unfortunate that he's in the concussion protocol.
Yeah, when he doesn't have to worry about the 2 guys on the outside, and then all he has to worry about is everything inside, Holland's going to be a freaking monster, bro. Watch. If they're able to...
in the second half of the season, a lot of people are going to say that Jalen Ramsey's return is the key reason why they moved from, let's say, 27th. But I'm going to tell you that everyone's going to say, well, Ramsey is the key reason why they moved from 27th to 8th in scoring defense. All right. Let's just say. Okay. But as important is going to be the player's comfort level with a playbook that's this thick on defense. and operating a system that's completely different than what they did under Flores and Boyer.
34,977. Bitcoin is right. It's $23 away from 35,000. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Yeah. All right. I'm just.
You remind me of that guy on TV that drives up the stocks by talking about his own stocks. What's that guy's name?
Dude, it was at 16,500.
No, it's all good. It's all good. But I forget the name of the guy. There's a Kramer. There's a guy on TV, Jim Kramer. And what he does is he bets on stocks and then he talks them up. And that's a good strategy, actually. It works. No, I wish I had the power that you have to improve the value of Bitcoin. That's amazing.
Hold on a second. The difference is, I don't know if you know this, it's called the inverse Kramer. Okay? Everything Kramer says, you go against. So when he tells you to invest, divest. When he tells you to divest, invest. Okay? So 10 days ago, he said Bitcoin's going to go down. It's up 30% since he said it. So this inverse Kramer, go look at it. Go on Twitter. Inverse Kramer. It's actually a thing. So we do this in the investment world. Anything and everything. He says, I swear to you, go to YouTube and just put inverse Kramer. It'll show you, hey, this bank is the best. You gotta, and the bank actually goes fucking bankrupt right after. Literally.
We're in a different climate as media, and what I'm thinking of as we have this discussion is that Erin Kate Dolan, I believe is her name. She's like the ESPN betting expert. She's given picks and on ESPN, and obviously the NFL is a league partner. And the NFL is interested in betting. She takes a lot of crap when she gets it wrong. And
welcome to
you. But the thing is, it's not just, I think the Dolphins are going to win. It's, I think the Dolphins are going to win and cover. And then when someone loses their house, it worries me. I don't know. It does worry me a little bit.
Worries you, huh? Here's my Venmo. Here's my Venmo yesterday from Raphael. Thank you, Big O. I made $2,000 today after I listened to your Bitcoin recommendation yesterday. I met you for the second time at the auto show last month. Hope to see you again soon. Keep up the great work.
Yeah, but do folks get mad at you when it goes down?
I always say I'm not a financial advisor. I'm a guy that loves crypto. But I got to say this. I haven't been wrong. So right now, nobody can really be mad at me. And by the way, you really don't lose until you sell, and you really don't win until you sell. Okay. So, it all depends.
Speaking of gambling,
we're $15 away, Joe. $15 away from 35,000. That is ridiculous.
Speaking of gambling, Dolphins by 9.5 over the Patriots. It's a big number.
You got to, dude.
It's a big number.
No, listen to this. You take the Patriots plus 9.5,
and then Dolphins to win.
You take the Pistons tonight plus 9.
Oh, you give gambling advice too.
You probably follow this half-ass. But who the fuck is the University of Miami to give Virginia 19 points? So I'm taking Virginia, I'm taking the Pistons, and I'm taking the Patriots. And I still think all the Miami teams will win, but none of them will cover. I don't think the Dolphins cover 10 points.
9.5 is an interesting one. They really want people to bet on New England. I think the Dolphins, people have been betting heavy on the Dolphins all year, and it's driving the spreads. They are a small underdog against the Chiefs, anywhere from 2.5 to 5.5, which is a big range. So, but it's a week out, so it'll settle in between, I suppose. Yeah. I am going to Germany, by the way, so I'm looking forward to that. I don't know how that's going to affect our segment on that particular Wednesday.
Dude, we're digital. We adjust. Don't worry about it.
I don't know what the time difference is.
If I record at 1 a.m, the bags aren't going to be any different at 1 a.m. They stay there. My Benicio del Toros are here permanently. So I can't do anything about that, my brother. It's just one of those things. All right, let's play the shell game. Ramsey, Wilson, Jones, Ezukama, Craycraft, Armstead, Achan, Brooks, and Wynn are all gone to the IR. Wilson and Jones have been activated. You can only activate 8. 9 have been placed on the IR. Is the season for Eric Ezukama over since you have Chase Claypool? And could Chris Brooks' season also be over if you don't have injuries to your running backs?
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. Yeah, I agree with everything you just said. It's clear that Ezukama, followed by Craycraft and Brooks, would be the guys kind of in play to maybe not come back. Yeah, but all the other guys are going to come back. And if a very key player, one of the names, one of the top 5 Dolphins is hurt, that player is just going to have to stay on the roster. They're just going to have to stay on the roster.
Right. It's kind of what you did last year with Tanner Connor, that you only protected him to keep him on the 53 because you didn't want to expose him to the practice squad, because hell, you had people that were inquiring about trading for him, and you wanted to keep him as a project. So last year you kind of used a couple spots, him and Ezukama, and they kind of took up positions when you weren't even really using them.
And the elevation capability helps. God forbid the Dolphins needed a right guard or something. Well, you go to your practice squad. So that really does. So that's part of the reason why the Dolphins have been so aggressive in using the injured reserve, in my opinion, is because you do have that elevation flexibility. Now, at a certain point, you run out. Chase Winovich, they ran out of elevations. They waived injured him, and he retired. So,
I loved his retirement letter, bro. I loved it because it's a young man that chased his dream.
He's only 28, no pun intended.
And he achieved his dream and played it at the highest level. And he gets to walk away satisfied that because if he doesn't chase it and he doesn't Winovich it, he was able to Winovich it. And now he can walk away satisfied that I chased my dream, I conquered it, and now I can move on to the next chapter of my life.
Small trivia. So Chase Winovich played 3 games for the Miami Dolphins, and I never met him. I never spoke a word with the guy. Now, not because I didn't want to talk to him, all right? It's because in the post game, he's not a key player to interview. And during the week, I was never allowed to interview him because he wasn't on the 53-man roster. So Chase Winovich, if you're out there, send me a message. I'd love to talk to you now that you're retired. Ask you about the 3 games you played for the Dolphins.
Yeah. No, but I loved it, man. I thought it was fantastic. All right, what do you got going on in the Palm Beach Post, my friend, so folks can check you out?
Yeah, look at the tape, don't lie. We get into Tua and Tyreek and the offensive line and the penalties and the defensive backs. Did you know the Dolphins have the 6th worst passer rating faced by opposing quarterbacks? All right. Passer rating, 6th worst. So we need to clean that up. We got to get Jalen and X back this week, in my opinion. Tua Tagovailoa will speak later today. Mike McDaniel will speak later today. Mike spends a lot of time talking about injuries. It's because we only get them on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We used to get them on Thursday. Maybe you get some other topics in there, but it's tough. There's so many key injuries, and he's the only one who's allowed to talk about it. You spend a lot of your time asking, what about this guy? What about that guy? What do you think about this guy? Is this guy's season over? How likely is this guy to play? So it's kind of boring, but you got to do it because there's nothing more important than the injury talk, right? There's nothing more important than how is Jalen Waddle's back? How close is Teron Armstead? What's that?
You're not phrasing it right. You're not phrasing it right. You're saying we, when it's Barry Jackson has to ask all the injury questions.
Well, he's a wily veteran, so we generally allow Barry to ask the first question, which is fine.
Oh, it's always the first
Thank you
question.
for standing up for me when the CBS aggregator made that bogus headline that said Mike McDaniel snaps at reporter who questions Tua. This is what's wrong with the aggregation society and culture today. All right, we agree on that. Check out our stories. I
talk about that all the time because people do this shit for views and clicks and all that kind of shit. And it pisses me off because I'm not that guy, actually, even though I may say things that at the beginning it looks like it, but eventually you look at it and you say, well, actually, that wasn't really crazy. That was right.
Hey, listen, we're all fallible. We're all human. We all make mistakes. My thing is like, if you make a mistake, correct it, right? Correct it. So these CBS folks, I don't even think they ever corrected it. Maybe they did at some point after all my peers piled on.
They
Just
don't care
change it. Say, hey, you know what? I got it wrong. My bad. People are very forgiving in today's society. If you say, hey, I got that wrong, my bad, I fixed it. That's it. Anyway,
but they don't anymore. It's not good. You're not going to get views if you're reporter asks about the viewpoint of others. Miami Dolphins. That's not no. I
don't think my part is that don't be aggregating when you didn't go watch the video. Now, Mike McDaniel does have a unique sense of humor, so sometimes people don't get it, but
but it's better to make you the bad guy because it's sexier. And then the fans go off, because I had people, did you see Joe Schad? I'm like, and what? Joe Schad said nothing. It was the same shit as Chris Perkins. Taking like that in the MVP conversation, insult to Tua, and they're freaking out on Perk, and it's like, yo, Perk is speaking the truth, dude. You know,
I mean, he and I disagree, but his point is definitely more about Tyreek deserving it than Tua not.
Well, whatever, but you can say that, just like Rice might have deserved it more than Montana, or Moss more than Brady. I mean, you could do that shit if you want in so many, Emmitt Smith over Troy Aikman. I mean, dude, this has been going on since the beginning of time, that we've had the great teams a lot of times have two guys in the mix for the MVP, and you could argue the chicken or the egg bullshit if you want.
I know that you appreciate what Mike McDaniel said in response to my question, which was, I've run these plays with a lot of other guys. I've run this offense with a lot of the other guys, and it hasn't looked like this. He's just wonderful to deal with, this guy. I mean, he is, and then we haven't even mentioned the Hard Knocks thing. I'm not so big on Hard Knocks being interesting in recent years, but maybe this will be interesting because of the characters.
Because of Mike, I actually think it could turn into a positive, because Mike
I'm a little worried.
Mike, you should be,
because
I get it. But let me tell you why. The only worry I have, but where I think it might be a good thing, is that people will see Mike McDaniel, and players and agents will say, dude, I want to play for that guy. That guy is pretty cool.
That's a good point.
Now, on the Tua side, he's such a magnet and a lightning rod that I can see some of his goofiness or some of his honesty that gets used against him. I could see some of that being turned against Tua.
Well, it's a good thing that this is happening now and not in Tua's first 2 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point, because it's what you had before with Philbin. You had a dysfunctional place, and then you put cameras inside a dysfunctional place. I don't believe there's a dysfunctional place right now. I believe
Tua's much more relaxed, much more comfortable in his own skin. He's a husband and a dad. He'll be fine. I'm sure this isn't his first choice, to have Hard Knocks, but he'll be fine. He'll be fine. Check out my stuff on Shad, Joe, and the Palm Beach Post website. Sign up, $1 for 6 weeks. Helps us out as local journalists. It costs money to send me to Germany. So if I'm not there to interview the players and ask them these questions, who's going to do it? So
did you have to fight Hal? Did you have to fight Hal Habit to go to Germany? Because
Hal was originally scheduled to go, but we made a change. So Hal will probably go to. He's fine, but Hal will probably go to a future event. It's fine.
Sure
we should both
be at a Bundesliga match. I don't know about that.
So I already got the scoop on Bundesliga for Saturday. Me, Marcel, David, and Daniel, I think, are going to go to a game about 20 minutes away from Frankfurt, because the Frankfurt team is playing in Berlin, and that's too far. Germany's a lot bigger than you think.
Does Hal know you're doing this?
I don't think Hal was thrilled when David Hyde and I went to a Premier League match and watched that Mo Salah. Is that how you say it? Salah.
I would watch your back around Hal now.
Hal and I have a lot of good conversations about the Wrexham show, the TV show. Have you seen that?
No, I have not. But
Wrexham.
You're taking away his soccer enjoyment. I don't know. That's not a good thing. That's not healthy for you. I'm just saying. I'm just
All
saying.
right.
I think Hal Habit really wanted to be at a Bundesliga game with a beer at room temperature. Just saying.
We'll figure out the German schedule for next week. I will hopefully be there in Frankfurt.
Follow him on Twitter at Shad Joe, and of course, subscribe to the Palm Beach Post. $1 for 6 weeks. Come on, man. Yeah.
6 months.
The 6 months. The Tape Don't Lie article once a week is worth the subscription. Just
Thanks,
that.
dude.
Okay. All right, Joe. Much love. We'll catch up next week, my friend. Appreciate you.
See you. All right.
You got it. Essential moving experts. Man, you talk about a dude that is an ass kicker. That is Sean Williams, big time Dolphins fan. That's why his business is in Dolphins colors, literally. Yes. Okay. He uses aqua and orange because he's a Dolphins fan. His company and he lives in Daytona, and yet he comes down to the games. I mean, this is the kind of people you want to support anywhere you are in the country because he'll move you wherever you're at. They work the entire nation. And you tell them that Big O sent you, they will get you a discount, 386-213-4054. What you're going to love about Essential Moving Experts compared to most, flat rates, no surprise charges, no ballpark figures. Hey, we'll move you from here to here for this ballpark figure. No. A flat rate, straight up, that's what you get charged. It's a beautiful thing. And by the way, if you're moving to your new home, new office, whatever it is, and it's not ready yet, it won't be ready for another week or 3 weeks or a month, they will store your goods up on the house for up to a month. Now, if you need it a little longer, then you can negotiate a longer price, but I mean, Sean Williams just does an amazing job. Over 1,700 happy customers have filed in how much they love Essential Moving Experts because moving was never so easy. Call Sean Williams, folks. He'll get it done. 386-213-4054 for EssentialMovingExperts.com.